Welcome, everyone, to the Naturalist sponsor Soundbyte. I'm Nancy Coulter-Parker, Director of Content Marketing at New Hope Network, and I'm here today with our Naturalist sponsor, Premier Research Labs, to hear their how they got started, how they differentiate themselves in the marketplace, and how their values drive sales. Let's get started. Our sponsor today, as we said, is Premier Research Labs, and my guest is Premier Research Labs CEO, Nick Labinsky. Welcome, Nick.
Thank you, Nancy. Great to meet you.
Nice to meet you. We're just going to dive into our questions. Founded in 1987, Premier Research Labs is a trailblazer in professional-grade nutritional supplements, driven by purity, fueled by innovation, and unwavering in its commitment to uncompromising quality. Can you please tell us about how Premier Research Labs got started and how this all came to be?
Yeah, thank you, Nancy. 38 years ago, Dr. Robert Marshall, our founder, was poisoned by GMO tryptophan. If you look up GMO tryptophan on the internet, you'll see that hundreds of people died, thousands of people were disabled during this incident. Actually, this poisoning caused a condition called eosinophilia myalgia syndrome. It was like weakening of the muscles. Unfortunately, he was a victim of this, but luckily, he was a clinical nutritionist, and his wife was a doctor of Oriental medicine. And it was kind of the synergy of them two, the knowledge between them both, that saved his life. And the lawsuit from that actually is what funded the beginning of PRL. And so, as you can imagine, from his personal incident, he knew that companies were taking shortcuts. I mean, he was a victim of it. And, he realized that not all supplements are created equal. And he was a trailblazer for this industry, doing clean label, excipient-free or not necessarily traditional excipients, and doing more nutrient value if we're going to use an excipient in our products. He had a syndicated radio show across the U.S., and we've been serving health professionals since the beginning. So trust was always number one for us. And I came on the scene 16 years ago, graduated from UT as a QC tech in the laboratory. And I was supposed to go to med school, realized that was my parents' dream, and I fell in love with this industry. I fell in love with the natural product industry and the evolving science within here. And through this journey from quality, where I started, to product development and lab operations and then facility operations, he had trained me up during that time. He sent me around the world. He said, go feel it, go taste it, go eat it, go experience true quality. He wanted to have a system that basically nobody else was doing. And that's what we created. We created a system that auditors tell us that less than 1% of the industry does what we do from a quality perspective. Because I've seen everything from lead-painted turmeric to mold toxin in products that nobody else is testing for. So we have always been the stewards of protecting purity and potency in our materials and doing things that nobody else wants to do, because it's a little bit of a Pandora's box, but we've opened that box and we continue to do so. I'm one of the only one or two people that comes from quality in this industry as a CEO, which just gives perspective, because I have a little bit of a different view on things than most CEOs that are, they're looking just like I have to as the bottom line and everything else. But I also understand when I cut something, what that really means to what you actually put in your mouth, what you eat. Because at the end of the day, you got to ask yourself, would you eat it if you knew that they cut the quality 30%? And I'm very privileged to have taken on this role and blessed. And I love that I can bring healthy, top-tier, best-in-class materials and products for my family, your family, and everyone else to transform global wellness.
You mentioned this, not all supplements are created equal. Mm-hmm. Could you dive a little deeper into the values and qualities that truly differentiate Premier Research Labs from its competitors and really make its products stand out?
Yeah, we were born out of tragedy. And really what Dr. Marshall wanted to do was transform global wellness. And really the only way to do that, this transformation, when you do it yourself, you're helping others, you need to have extraordinary quality and extraordinary innovation. Good enough is just not good enough. Really, and the status quo is kind of what we've become as a society in terms of it's been quantity over quality. And so he's always taken the higher road that quality, you don't need as much, right? If we had high nutrient value material in foods, maybe we wouldn't even need supplements. And that's a whole other conversation. But that being said, our values of transformation, extraordinary quality, he was on a mission to build that community around that, to empower the practitioners, their patients, and our conscious consumers out there to be able to experience that. And that is what we live today, and we will continue to do so as we try to become that 100-year company.
And then, along those lines, we all know within this, this supplement marketplace, just that the need for the high standards for safety, potency, and trust. Could you speak to this, a bit more of just this being, sort of a founding piece of your business?
Yes. What we do, like I said, is less than 1% of the industry takes the road we do. And why? Well, personally, I've seen, like I said, lead-painted turmeric. Imagine getting in 3,000 fingers of turmeric that a lot of people take. I think 80% of the population is taking turmeric these days. And this turmeric was literally painted with lead chromate. And this is something that Stanford University identified coming out of Bangladesh. NPR did a huge article realizing there was being contamination poisoning children. Well, I saw this in 2011 testing material coming out of India. And so from incidents like that to things that such as dyes in turmeric or aflatoxins in cayenne pepper, which is a poisonous carcinogen, these are foods. We all eat these. They're in spices. They're in different cultures more and less. And we're using these for supporting our body, supporting our health. And unfortunately, people are unknowingly taking in material that are actually hurting them. And people wonder why there's an incidence of liver issues with supplements right now, and we're not questioning that adulteration. So that being said, we have taken on something called orthogonal testing technique, where we do multiple testing techniques answering one single endpoint. What does that mean? Basically, what the regs say is it says to do at least one test for identity. Well, we do multiple. Why? Because each test has its advantages and disadvantages. And we want to see the whole picture, because you miss maybe that toxin if you only do one test. And so we have taken the higher road. It's more costly. And therefore, but we can actually ensure that that product is clean when we give it to that patient who really needs it, or to my child who really needs it, or to my neighbor who really needs it. So everybody is trusting us to make sure that it's clean, safe, and there's nothing else in there.
Well, and then along those lines, you've also mentioned that, the company's mission is to transform global wellness and to empower practitioners, patients, and conscious consumers to pursue optimal vitality. Could you tell us more, what this means and why this is also important to the company? And I'm guessing this ties back to the foundation, but that is, it's a great goal to have.
To tackle such a amazing mission to transform the world, right? To transform global wellness, you have to, like I said, you have to expect more. And, the aspect of only achieving status quo will not get you there, And look what happened with Dr. Marshall many, many years ago. And that's always burned into our minds. And, he constantly reminded us, with the literally Ziploc bag of supplements he would eat daily to make sure he was treating this condition because of one bad actor that affected so many people. And so our mission to bring another level of health, because health is not just about, it's about thriving. It's about being able to serve. It's about being able to, enjoy life and to give back. And the only way to do that is through a community of like-minded people and providing them the extraordinary materials to enable them, to empower them, practitioners, consumers, patients, to take that journey. And that's what I'm here for. I'm here not only for other people, but my own personal use, my own kids, my parents, my whole family. It's a very personal mission for me, and I'm here to change people's lives. That's why I do what I do.
Well, and I certainly hope you mentioned being a 100-year company, at some point.
Yes.
And I certainly think you're on the right path and hope to see that come to fruition. We need companies like yours. Thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate hearing more about Premier Research Labs, and have a great day.
Thank you, Nancy.